Hey, ladies, I hope you have enjoyed this first slow move into Galatians and that you are appreciating Dr. Da Silva's gentle spirit and keen insights into this book. We have to start where Paul starts, and that is with his utter astonishment at what is happening to the gospel and to the Galatians in relationship to the gospel. In verses 6 through 9, he describes in three different ways the really serious situation that this church or this group of churches is facing. In verse 6, he talks about a different gospel that has been given to them. The word there in Greek is the word that we get our terms like heterodox and heterodoxy from. In verse 7, he talks about a distortion of the gospel. And the word there is the word, it's to take something and turn it around and to make it into something else. And then in verses 8 and 9, he talks about a gospel that is contrary to the true gospel. And the picture that is given by the grammar there is of, here's the true gospel, and someone's come and laid another one alongside it and is trying to meld the two together. A different gospel, a gospel that's been turned into something that it's not, a gospel that is being forced to walk alongside something that doesn't match it. And this is a very serious situation, and Paul's language to the Galatians reveals just how serious this is. He says of those who are peddling this different gospel, let them be accursed. That's really, really strong language. And then of those who are being taken in by it, who are buying this distorted gospel, Paul is amazed at their foolishness. In chapter 3, we'll see that he calls the Galatians right to their face, you foolish Galatians. And the verb in verse 7 for how the Galatians are responding to this other gospel, this thing that is not gospel, that is not good news, but that's being peddled to them as good news. The verb that Paul uses there is that the Galatians are taking this thing, this unworthy, distorted thing that's on offer to them, and they're putting it in the place of the truth, the true gospel, the true good news. So this is the very serious situation that Paul is confronting. These are churches that he knows. These are churches where he laid the foundation of the true gospel, not very long prior to when he's writing this letter. And so he's deeply concerned about what's happening there. And the same concern should be at work for us. What is the antidote to buying a distorted version of the gospel? Well, it's knowing the true gospel. It's immersing ourselves in the story of salvation. The big story from Genesis to Revelation, the gospel story that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John tell us. The gospel story as Paul and Peter and John remind their readers of. The gospel story that ends with the new heavens and the new earth. So, what are some of the ways that we can immerse ourselves in that story? Well, we need the creeds, the ancient creeds of the church, the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed. If you've got a hymnal of any kind at home, there's probably a section that has the creed, one of those creeds in it. If not, you've got Mr. Google at your fingertips. Google the Apostles' Creed or the Nicene Creed. And I would encourage you over the next week to make it part of your daily devotions, to say that creed, whichever one you pick, out loud, and know that you are declaring with the church across the centuries and around the globe the central truths of the good news. I believe, we believe, and get yourself grounded in those words. Then be a regular participant in the word and in worship. Hear the story, read the story, sing the story. Participate in the liturgy. The liturgy of the church tells the story every week. If you ever wonder, why is there a call to worship? Why is there a doxology? Why is there a pastoral prayer? Why is there the Lord's Prayer? All these things together give us a weekly opportunity to remember our story. Participate in the Eucharist and Holy Communion, in regular remembering of what Jesus did, what God did through the Son by the Spirit on your behalf, and what you live now because of that. So immerse yourself in the story, creed, worship, word, liturgy, Holy Communion. And then, as Dr. De Silva encouraged us, we need to do some reflection and some self-examination, both as individuals and as communities of faith. Who has a voice in our ear and in our hearts that may be a voice that is distorting the gospel in some way? What are the sources, the voices that we're listening to that are offering us what Paul calls a different or a distorted or a contrary gospel? Where are we allowing those things to have space in our imagination and our hearts and our faith? And I want to suggest to us, it's very difficult to do this kind of self-examination if we never get outside our comfort zones. Because if we just exist in an echo chamber, there will never be anything that challenges the ways that we understand the gospel. So one of the best ways to get a sense of, oh, maybe this thing or this voice or this teaching isn't really gospel. One of the best ways to get a sense of that is to be in community with Christians from other traditions. If you're a Protestant, make sure you've got some Catholic friends. If you're a charismatic, make sure you've got some Anglican friends. And also to worship with believers from other cultures. Sometimes it takes that to help us get past our own blind spots, because there may be things that have snuck in, like this contrary gospel snuck in to Galatia, and we haven't even realized that it's contrary to the good news, or that it's trying to come alongside the good news, but it doesn't fit the good news. So stay in the story and spend some time in fellowship with people who might be a bit different than you, and ask the Holy Spirit to reveal if there are aspects of your faith that are a different gospel, or contrary to the true gospel, or a distortion of some element of the gospel. And we'll track more with this, more with the specifics of what the Galatians were facing in the weeks ahead. God bless you.